Alright, video 0002. We're just going to do a quick run through basic tools with this video. Tools being different methods, practices, or knowledge sources that you could access through spiritual understandings or more esoteric kind of sources. First one, probably the most prevalent one in society right now, is astrology. Yay, astrology. Everybody loves it. Know what your sun sign is? Probably, because you know exactly what day you were born. The trick with that one really is it's more of a... the natal charts are complicated. Let's go about it that way. Astrology on the surface is simplified for most of our newspaper purposes down to your sun sign and what effect that's going to have on you as a person. But the simplicity of that, it's such a straw man because it's taking everything and just focusing it on that one object. The natal chart itself can touch on, just for planetoids, the sun, the moon, the Mars, the Mercury, the Venus, and every single other thing all the way out to Pluto. And yes, we still count Pluto, so screw you, NASA. We're not going to disrespect Mr. God of Death here. Moving on, you've got the asteroids. Chiron, Chiron's personal favorite, wounded healer. We'll get into more of him on the astrology bit. You've also got Fortuna, you've got Vespa, you've got Juno, and the one I'm trying to get, Lilith. Fantastic energies that come up from all of those that affect us in a certain way as well too. All these pieces come in to create a format, a sort of dynamic of who you are. The basic natal chart that I usually do being a lot of those major framework pieces being explained out so you can interact with them and work with them on your own level. You can take that to a next level though, which is called transits or conjunctions, pieces where interactions between the planets and different points within us and around the solar system that we're within have a certain effect as well. This is where you see more of the circumstances, events, the things that you're going to possibly come across. So much complexity to it when you get right down to it. I do basic natal charts. If you ever find an expert, honestly, let me know. And if it's a really good expert, I would absolutely promote them, because at the end of the day, if you've got someone that can do the whole 9 yards and not just be thorough with it, but be neutral with it. That's what I mean. Astrology is being neutral about it in the way that you're writing it. There's something there of a certain degree of expertise. And I don't see it in a lot of people that are rushing for the answers of this means this. I think there has to be very much an interpretation of what the patterns themselves are supposed to create for a person. Tarot. Tarot is broken down into 5 sections, a tarot deck being a major arcana, which is your Fool card, your Magician card, your High Priestess, Emperor, Empress, Chariot, all the way through down to Sun, Moon, Star, Universe, or sorry, Universe in the Heindel deck. That's actually World in, I believe, the Standard. So major arcana is representing very large archetypes, concepts of very strong presence, power, the framework, I like to call it, of the world that we've been kind of put into. The things that fill that framework, though, are your suits, your swords, representing air energy, communication, thoughts, ideas, expression between ourselves and others. Cups, representing water, emotions, feelings, the sensitivities of ourselves and the community around us. Earth, representing through pentacles, the structure, foundation, money, health, physical body, society, and more in that, what supports society. And the one I'm missing, wands, creativity, our willpower, our expression of ourselves, the fight to create things and move things and activate and have things in process forward. See, those 4 suits fill the energy that is the major arcana, so that you can then have a divination tool where in certain people's hands can help you to understand a large number of things that are available to you. Now, as with any practice, expertise. There are some readers that I will 100% give credit and value to, because there's definitely something there. There's some people that are just memorizing interpretations of cards, and there's something there. Dead on said it. You don't have to be intuitive to use tarot cards. If you can understand the basic patterns of everything, then you can do the work. The point of life is to understand the patterns of life, and you don't have to be magic or special born in order to do that. You just have to be conscious and self-aware enough to be willing to walk with God. And if you can't do that, then there's a problem. But if you can do that, you can understand and use the divination tool, tarot, to get you where you need to be. Moving on from there, Some people like to use other things for divination as well: crystal balls, rocks, stones. Runes is a very common one, but those are more Futhwark language from the Norse times. Those are more structured and more ordered, whereas crystals, there's interpretations with crystals, you just kind of take it your own way. But a person walking down the street seeing a coin can take some interpretation from that, and that is divination in its own basic formats and its own basic dynamics. Crystals, though, just to kind of jump back to that, not just a tool for divination, but also a tool for healing. I will get into arguments with people over whether it's actually physically real or not. I've got gems sitting here in a little pouch right here. I'm even going to work on taking them out of my little zipper. Why? Because I love showing this off. Actually, I got more than just gems in here. I got rings in here too. Go figure. But hey, a nice little piece of labradorite. Why? Because if it's in here, it feels good against me, and it's constant pressure that reminds me to keep a certain frame of mind. Does that mean that it's not doing its job, or it is doing its job? Who cares if it's a vibration or if it's psychosomatic? If it works, it works. Now, different crystals, different interpretations, different meanings. The basic core principle from spiritual terms would be its vibration is affecting you in a certain way, it's imparting its energy upon you. After all, everything in life, including you and me, have a certain intent, a certain consciousness. We can throw that intent around. Something that's moving very slowly, like a stone or like a crystal, its intent is going to vibrate into us long before it moves in any way, shape, or form. So we can feel its presence physically, we can feel its presence immaterially within our actual state of self. I feel like I'm droning on about crystals, so let's wrap it up. Crystals range everywhere from basic mineral compositions to man-made creations. All of it has representation of some kind of meaning, thereby it does have some use within spiritual realm. Each person will find individual uses within their own personal bits though. Certain stones will just call to you, certain stones will just resonate to you. And at some point I would love to just go through reading off stones and their definitions, and I will do that one slow and steady so it's not, pain in the ass to have to listen to. Thank God you guys can watch this over and over and over again though, am I right? Moving on from stones, there's a large array of traditional tools and practices, like a witch's broom is a traditional tool, a cauldron, I just bought a cauldron, a theme, and we'll go into small explanations of this, or maybe even just a picture book. I think actually that might be fun, a picture book. If anyone wants to be an illustrator, let's talk. But there's a plethora of different tools that you need for altar setups, just to make sure that all representations of elements are made. And you can wander into any store that holds any item could potentially have something that is worthwhile to you in that practice. The trick with a lot of tools is it something that you can feel personally related to. Taking, say, my grandfather's pocket watch that I sometimes use for divination because it makes an absolutely fantastic pendulum. It works great for me in that dynamic. It would not work so well for some other people because, pocket watch? No, let's not corrupt that up, and definitely not a family pocket watch. To each their own. If you have resonance with a tool, apply it. This gets back to being children and picking up that stick and saying, it's my sword. While, yes, a lot of that is imagination, your intent and your will does apply. And although it may not be a very sharp sword, it is still a weapon. And that's all a sword is, a representation of a weapon. You're just taking something that is a different material, but giving it that same representation and meshing them together. Which, any tool, any representation, you can mesh together. Remember, spirituality is a personal walk. It's your journey. It's your dynamic. Basic altar setups, basic crystals. Always recommend citrine for cleansing, or Himalayan rock salt's what people were kind of going for a few years back, and honestly I like it. I grab sand. That's a different story altogether. I'll tell you guys that another day. But whatever makes you feel cleansed. Moonlight, sunlight can be cleansing. Something to maintain the energy of said altar. And then beyond that, whatever practice you want to get into. If you're going more into healing, get your healing crystals, get your healing kits. If you're going more into salves, you're going to have an apothecary kit. If you're going more into the alignment of divination, you're going to get tarot cards. And realistically, every single one of us should have a basic set of tarot cards. Or oracle cards. Actually, let's segue for a quick second here. Oracle decks. Before I turn this one off. Oracle decks are similar to tarot decks in that they are a divination card. They are dissimilar in that an oracle deck usually does not have structure as per major arcana, minor arcana. It may have its own individual structure, but its structure is not major arcana, minor arcana. That is, if a deck of cards is major arcana, minor arcana, it's a tarot deck. If it is not major arcana, minor arcana, but the cards are representative of different images for divination, probably oracle. Oracles operate in a very personal way. They have a very different personality. Some of them may work with you, some of them just won't. I have one deck that's floating around right now, the Heart of the Fairies, and ultimately it was passed on to me because it needed to be stored. And so be it. Some decks just want to not be used, or they're waiting for the right person. Decks have their own personality, much like your tools will, much like you do, and everything, again, is individual.